Hi, guys. This is episode 7 of Motherhood, Money, and Mental Health. Welcome. I am Waddie Kolenky,
And I'm your co-host, Sammie Joseph Fredericks.
and we are switching gears today. We're going to talk about money in honor of Financial Literacy Month. This is the last week we are going to be talking about money. But before we get into the conversation about money, let's check in with you, Sammie, and find out what's going on with you and your family and how are things going now that we've been on this 6-week lockdown, stay home order.
Thank you for asking, for checking. I miss you guys.
Same here,
I'm
man.
just sitting on the couch and recording these episodes, but anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah,
How are we doing? We're doing good, considering the current situation that we find ourselves in. We're trying to manage like everybody else. We
hmm
are, both working from home full time. So we have our daily workload at work, and then we also have to support Luke with school during the day as well. So it's been a little challenging, but we've been managing to find ways to make it not so stressful and fun for Luke. So we break it up and do some fun stuff in between all of the work that he has to do. But we're managing.
that's
And yeah,
great.
Abigail doing.
Whew, how are we doing? Yeah, we're here. We're managing. Some days are good, some days are not. But on those good days, we try to be productive, and on the bad days, we just let it flow and kind of just hang out together and do other things that's not necessarily productive. Could be
Mm-hmm.
fun, could be just nothing, just laying around. But in all, like I do feel blessed at the fact that she is very motivated on her own. So I don't always have to do too much to like get her going. She's up before me most mornings. She gets most of her work done and ready for me to check it before I'm even awake. So by like 10, 11, my daughter has kind of completed all of her stuff for school and she's ready to just do her own thing, or like they have sometimes hang out with with the other kids, and sometimes they just get on that. And so I feel blessed. I can't wait for it to be over, man. It's just
Oh, my dear.
too crazy, too
Yeah,
much, and I'm just ready to go out and do something different.
I
You know,
know.
I
Yeah.
know,
Hopefully it will be over soon.
I know. We gotta get together and do that bonfire I saw you guys doing on the internet the other day. That looked fun.
Come now, we can do a social distancing. You can sit on one side of the fire and we on the other side.
There you go. See. So back on track to where we are. This is episode 7, as I mentioned earlier, of motherhood, money, and mental health. We've had a lot of conversations about motherhood and what it means to us. We've had a lot of conversations about mental health, and today we're switching gears. We want to talk about a little bit about money.
Yeah.
Money, motherhood, and money. I would start off just talking, letting everybody know that this is a topic for I guess my co-host is a topic that she's passionate about, something that she has kind of turned it into her life's work, and now it's seeming to me, and you can kind of elaborate on it
Hmm.
as this is now her purpose. I feel like
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
has had a very long history of like motivating people, women, men, whoever she feels is struggling with something. She jumps in there. She's ready to send you texts, emails, motivational things, encouraging things, resources, whatever it is that person might need in order to like jump to that next level. And now I feel like it is awesome to see her combine her passion for motivation as well as her desire to see people do good financially
Hmm.
and put it together. So, this episode is going to be her leading and giving more information. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy what we're going to do. But let's start off first by talking about the book you wrote. Tell us about that book, of the series.
So, in August of last year, I released the first book in the Luke and Deedees Money Adventure series. And
Mm-hmm.
this book is entitled Grandma's Special Gift. And in the series follow two best friends, 9-year-old kids who are learning about money. And
Mm-hmm.
each book has a different topic that it covers. So the first one was mainly about saving. The second book that is coming out in May will be about spending. And then 3 other books after that will be about earning, investing, and sharing money.
Mm. Awesome. So, I mean, it is awesome. I do have a copy of the book, Abigail and I. So it was nice to see, like, I know the concept of money is can be a scary topic,
Mhm.
especially if you're not great at managing it or you don't really know too much. For adults, it can be scary. And so to be able to see the way you've written it and you've simplified the terms and you made it in a way that children can understand it of
Right.
all ages, I think that's really well written and beautifully done. So
Thank you.
great job on that.
Thank
Tell
you.
me a little bit about why you decided to even delve into this adventure.
So when I had my son 6 years ago, felt that it was our responsibility to teach him a lot of stuff, right? To teach him.
Mhm.
And I wanted to teach him everything, really. I wanted to teach him more than just how to read or how to write or how to do math. I
Mhm.
wanted to teach him stuff like managing his emotions, managing his mental health, managing uh, how to manage money. I want him to understand the importance of physical health and taking care of himself.
Mhm.
So I teach him things like that. We teach him how to cook, how to sew, if we can. If there are skills that we want him to learn that we don't know, we'll learn
Mhm.
it along with him. And so,
Awesome.
one on the top of the list of things that we wanted to teach him was financial literacy, financial lessons. And it was mainly because I had made so many mistakes with money,
Mhm.
right? And some of those mistakes cost me gravely. Like it cost me sleep sleep at night, because of stress and anxiety around money and some of the
Mhm.
mistakes that I had made. I couldn't sleep at night, right? I was
Mhm.
anxious a lot. I, always wondering if like a check would clear, right? Because I didn't
Mhm.
have enough funds. Looking at all of the overdraft fees that came through my account and stressing out about will I ever catch up on paying these fees, and then coming out in the positive one day, right?
Mhm.
Writing a check at church to give and wondering if that check will clear, right? Traveling and not being able to stay in a hotel or rent a car and having to stay at people's homes, be at their mercy just because I couldn't afford it, right? So
Mhm.
some of those things, wanting to give, I love helping people and just wanting to give people financially or however I could not do that. I couldn't afford to do that. Or
Mhm.
if when I did do those things, right, to give, it was coming from a negative place, from a place where I did not have at all. So it
Mhm.
was really a stressful time. And I looked at my son and I realized that I do not want this kid to go through some of the things that I went through. The mounting credit card bills, the student loan bills, all of those things that you have to pay or your check is going to get garnished, right?
Yeah.
And so the stress, and I look at my son, I was like, I don't want him to go through these things. And so that was why we started teaching him about money early. And that was why I wrote the book, because the stats will tell you that I'm not the only person. There are a lot of people out there who are going through the same thing, right? Experiencing the same situation, not being able to manage money. Um, and so, I used to be very embarrassed about talking about it, but now I feel like sharing my story. I want to help somebody understand that you're not alone. And if I can come from that place to where I am now financially and able to help other people, anybody can do it. I'm not special.
No, I agree with you. As you were talking about all these different things, I mean, I'm sitting here raising my hand because, I mean, um, I'm not too far out of that situation either. It was
Yeah.
just recently, as I've been like kind of communicating with you,
Mm-hmm.
I started to like, start my own journey and my own pathway out of, financial stress or whatever you would
Yeah.
term it. So yeah, I did a financial literacy class and there was a lot of stuff I learned. So just like you said, those simple things like um, I was just saying, like going to a gas station, not having enough money to pay for your gas, but you choose to swipe your card, knowing that the first of all, you will have to incur the $30 or whatever to fill your tank, but
Mm-hmm.
then you also have to get the additional fee added onto it, and that's happening, but you do it anyway because you're in a cycle of um, feeling stressed out about
Yeah.
money and not even understanding your money.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I feel like it's a little bit deeper than that, correct?
Right.
where it's not about not having enough money, but it is about not being able to
Able to
manage the
manage
money.
what we have. Right.
Right. So where do you think that comes from, and how do you feel like that, where do you think we learn those things, and how do we get into this space of not seeing and knowing what money is about, or how to manage it and how to take care of
Right.
it?
So it comes, I mean, I believe that it stems from the lack of education.
Mhm.
Growing up in my household, I don't remember anybody sitting down with us, right, as kids and saying, this is money, this is what it can do for you, this is what will happen if you don't manage it properly, right?
Mhm.
And we weren't taught, and I can safely say that our parents weren't taught, so they didn't
Yeah.
know, right? And
Mhm.
we come from a different kind of society where people don't give you credit like they do here, you know? And so coming to the States, and then all of a sudden, I remember one day, Waddie, that my first semester at the University of St. Thomas, right, came
Mhm.
outside of class, and a whole area was blocked out, blocked off, right? That
Mhm.
had creditors lined up giving students credit cards. Like you
Wow.
just go up to the table. I remember my first credit card that
In
I
a
got in this
candy
country
store.
was a Discover credit card.
Oh yeah.
Though I had no background on managing credit cards before, I had never owned one ever in my life. I don't believe I had even seen one, right,
Mm.
coming from Liberia. And then all of a sudden somebody gives you this stuff. So it can be so it's the background. If we're not taught, we look at how our parents manage money, or what was the emotion and the
Mhm.
conversation around money in the homes that we grew up in. It was always, we didn't have it. There was no explanation why we didn't have it. There were arguments, about money and not having enough. So it was
Mhm.
never a positive thing. It was not
Mhm.
something that we talked about freely, number one. And there were arguments and negative emotions around it. And so those things will stick with you, right?
Yes.
And it certainly did with me.
Mhm. I mean, that's a good exercise of practice, right? Just kind of sitting back and being able to like reflect on what words you heard growing up about
Yeah.
money. Well, who handled the money? How
Mm-hmm.
was it handled? How do you know who paid what bill? Did you even
Yeah.
know who took
About
care of
bills.
what? You
Mm-hmm.
know? Like I mean, I grew up here. Well, I grew up from
For the
10,
most part.
11 years old
Mm-hmm.
here. And I don't remember like I felt like the whole conversation, the whole subject about money was just quiet and taboo, and we didn't know who did what.
Right.
Nobody know who made what. Even as like siblings in the house, as you start working, you don't discuss your salary with your sister or your brother.
Even now, do you know how much your sister makes? You
No.
can be as close as I don't know what, but you don't. That is one thing we never talk about,
Yeah.
because that we tie our self-worth, our
Yes.
value as human beings to how much we have in our bank accounts, or how much we take home every month on a paycheck.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. And this is why you see people kind of put themselves into like this cycle of purchasing and buying things that they can't afford in order to appear to have what they don't have.
Right.
So
Right.
no, that makes a lot of sense. So now with all this like, tumultuous ideas about money and what it is about, what do you feel like, what do we need to do as far as our future generations concerned, our children? What do you feel
Well,
we need to do in order to make sure they don't make those mistakes?
yeah, and this is where truly my passion lies. Is, I believe it is up to us as parents, as caregivers, as educators. So even
Hmm.
if you're a teacher, to start the conversation and start teaching our children early. It is
Hmm.
so important. We don't want to wait until they're like 15, 16, or about to go to college, when
And
it probably is not going to have a serious impact. I mean, I don't want to say it's not going to, because some of us change our mindset and change our way that we handle money later on in our lives, right?
mhm,
But it's so important to prepare our children. Just how you want the best education for your child, you want your child to go to the best school and get the doctorate, the doctors to go be a doctor or an
I agree.
engineer,
Mhm.
or it's so important to add a financial literacy to that mix, because you can get be a doctor, you can be an engineer, you can be a whatever, right, a scientist, a pharmacist, but you can do all of these things. But if you're not able to manage the money that you will bring home from the work that
Mhm.
you do, it is pointless. you
Yes.
know we don't want our kids living in the same cycle. We need to decide today that enough is enough. it ends with me. I didn't know. I'm not going to cry over the fact that I made all of these mistakes. What am I going to do starting today, going forward, to start setting an example for my children, to start teaching my children, to change my own situation? Because it is so hard for us to teach something that we do not know.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, if we're having issues, it's not going to be a quick fix. So we might as well start now. The clock is ticking. Our kids are watching us every single day. Every time we go to the store and we just randomly pick things that we do not need, they are watching us. Going
Mm-hmm.
to the store every single day, they are watching us. Sitting at home and Amazon boxes keep coming to that porch. Those kids are watching. Look,
Of
yeah,
course, they're
they're
watching
watching.
all
And it's like,
everything you're
so
spending on
now
there.
the only thing, I mean, what we're teaching by constantly buying, and we just spending money. First
We
of
are
all, they don't even
consumers.
understand how we're getting it. And
Mm-hmm.
then second of all, so you go to the store and your kids having a fit because they want something. They don't understand that we may not have enough money for that stuff, right?
Mm.
All they know is like, when you want something, you just go buy it. Why can't I get what I want? Right?
Oh yeah. What? That's interesting. And it is it's just interesting to understand that just what you just the part that you mentioned, that you don't need, like, being a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, or whatever these different careers that we ascribe to have,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make you a richer person.
No.
It's all about how you manage your money, and
Mm-hmm.
how you take care of the little that you're given.
Right.
um but thanks for sharing that. Now my question to you, for like people out there who are saying, what, I do think that this is a good idea to start educating my children and trying to get them in that mindset, what are some like small things or steps, or just like practical things they can start doing today to start like instilling those values in their children?
The simple way to start is just talking to your kids. That's the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
Gauge where their minds are in terms of money, how they think about money, just by talking to them, asking simple questions like, where do you think mom and dad, get money from? Why do you think we go to work? Do you understand that we have to pay for certain things? Talk about giving, talk about sharing, read books. There are a slew of resources on YouTube, videos with kids and parenting advice around teaching kids about money. But start the conversation today. It is never too late to have that
No,
conversation.
it's not,
Sit
and they
down.
have books on all levels.
Right, right.
That's
Incorporate the
interesting.
conversation into everyday thing. Make it fun. Like, you go to the store, give kids some money, make a list. Always, make a list before you go to the store.
Mhm.
That's teaching them to plan ahead. So if it's not on my list, we are not getting it.
Not buying it.
So what we started doing is we will go through the house and we have Luke make the list. He
Yes.
loves doing that stuff. So it gives him that responsibility. It's teaching him how to plan in advance. It's teaching him not to spend outside of what we have on that list. If it's not on the list, we're not getting it. Trust me, we have used that list. I have gone into a store and tried to grab something that wasn't on that list, and I was checked by that 6-year-old. So yeah, and
It's like,
so
mom is
get
not.
get them involved.
Oh
You
man.
make the list. What do we need today?
Mm,
Give them chores to teach them about earning. So for
mm-hmm,
us, I've posted on a lot of my social media platforms that we started with Luke when he was 4.5, 5 years old, with chores, and he takes out the trash, right? The compost. So the food leftover scraps from
mm-hmm,
what we eat. So we don't waste it. We go take it back to the city, let it recycle to make soil and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so we started doing that. So first of all, we explained to him why it is important to compost, why we do it as a family. And so we showed him this is what we do. We showed him the process. We showed him where it goes, where the trash will go. And it was like he went through orientation, like we will do on our
mm-hmm.
jobs, because
I
these
agree.
are things that he will have to do once he's out there in the world. So we
Mm-hmm.
simulate those things in our home. And then what we do is after he's gone through the process, he went through the process, I brought out a contract. I know some people will be like, Ma, you don't overdo it, but I do overdo it because I want to drive a
Prepare the man for the real world. Yeah.
yeah, and why not now? Why should I wait for somebody else to do it? Or why should I wait for him to learn it in school or something? Whereas probably not a lot of schools teach personal finance. And so I made him sit down, we did a contract, and I read it to him. He had questions. He's like, oh, okay, this is yeah, this is what you would do. This is how the frequency, how many times we do it, 2 times a week. this is when you will get paid. This is how much you will get paid. So if you don't do this, you can't get paid. Oh, but why? No, no, no. We don't get paid for work that we don't do. Yeah,
That's
right.
true.
We don't. I don't. I know
Get
about
your pay, doc. Yes.
yeah, so I don't want him to go out there and be shocked. Like one day when he decide, oh, he partied too high one night and he doesn't want to go to work. Don't expect the people to pay you. You know.
No.
So that's it. So I'm like, yeah. So you don't get this, and like I did a blog post this last week. I was talking about how, sometimes we fail to enforce certain things that it will happen. Life happens, right? Sometimes he would be doing his thing and he won't move that dirt and I want that dirt there, so I'll go take it from there. And then he stay kind of me on Saturday and I give him $3. But what am I teaching in that situation? That he can make a promise, he can sign a contract and say he will do work and
Not.
just feel like if I don't do it, it will still get done. Okay, so let's revisit this thing. You're not getting paid today. And he wanted to cry. I said, let's go back to the contract, dude. You said you were going to do this work or you were not going to get paid. Okay, so I need to do it more time so I can get more money. I don't care what you got to do. This is the contract. Yeah, and he wants money because he wants to be able to buy stuff, right? And the next thing that we are going to do is to teach him about credit card. We're going to teach him about using debit cards because seriously, we're moving towards a cashless society. Yes. So we can't keep playing with money. Sometimes we'll go use credit card. He doesn't understand like what just use your credit card to buy to do it. So now we got to teach him about credit card, how it's tied to the money that you have.
That's awesome.
Right. And
yeah, but he already knows how to order on Amazon. So
so why not teaching these things? Like don't use like the other day he came and he wanted something from Amazon again. I was like, no. I said, are you gonna pay me back for it? No, you use your money. I'm like, dude, you're not getting it. If I got money sitting here and I'm gonna use my money, that's not gonna happen. But so I also with all of the things that we're teaching, we want to teach them not only to just buy, be consumers and get stuff, but also to give, so to give to charity organizations, sit down with your children, find something that's really important to you. If it's your church, tell them why it is important to give. Tell them why you're giving 10% of your paycheck or whatever your income to your church. Explain it to them. Don't just say that when I posted another thing about that. Like when I was small growing up, they would just be like, take this money and you better put it in that offering plate. I won't see you put it in that offering plate. Don't care if
almost threatening
candy and stuff I can get with the money. Why should I give my money to these people? I don't understand.
You don't see them doing anything different with it.
And for a long time, even when I grew as an adult, Waddie, you used to see me in that Bethel there, I was not the cheerful giver. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's not until later on, and so, just teach them everything. Don't think they're too little. Don't think, oh, maybe they will not understand. Teach them. If it will involve them doing something, then explain to them why they have to do it. So of course, also let them think about giving back to the home that they live in. Me and my husband, Winston, we go to work, we get money, we come, we pay rent, pay the mortgage, we pay for food and all those kind of things. So when Luke earned his own money, he will go and he will buy the toothpaste for the house.
Yeah.
It's not that expensive.
That's responsibility.
Teach him that this is your responsibility. When it's done, it's done. So I mean, just those little things. Don't ever think that it's too much to teach them. Don't ever think if you have a teenager or child that almost going to be a teenager and they're going to start looking for work, teach them about the interviewing process. Teach them about paying taxes, on the money that they make. Teach them, talk to them about all of these things. It doesn't have to be like a separate time you set because we're all busy. It can be like every day you're going to the supermarket. Oh, let's compare the price. Compare prices, right? And so, yeah.
That's good. I do like that thought. And even though you were kind of laughing about it, about the contract, because I think that's part of the reason why a lot of like business people fail sometimes because they fail to read the fine lines. Even looking at a contract can be intimidating. So like if he's young and he's able to say, okay, even though this is like a watered down contract, but let me negotiate and talk about how this is going to affect me tomorrow if I'm able to like produce what I'm being asked to do. It gives you sort of a sense of empowerment. So even when you're going to work and they're giving you these different tasks and these different contracts and you're even a business person, you're able to like sit down and say, all right, let me look at what I have here and what I can possibly do and what I need help in understanding.
And so when we talk about teaching them about, working and all that stuff, then teach them to negotiate for their pay.
Yeah.
Just because I say I will give you $3 doesn't mean you have to accept it, you know. Come back and for some of us, you know, like we've become adults now, we never learn these things. Do you know how many people are not able to negotiate salary and pay that they truly deserve? We
Yeah.
can't even, whatever they give us, we just sit down there and say, okay, because these things were never taught to us. So teach your children, look, if you say you bring this value, then you have to be able to defend that and go back and say, you know what, these are all the things that I do. I don't think $3 is enough, you know, or after I do this for a certain amount of time, let's come back and renegotiate this pay, you know, but we'll talk about all of that. It can be, even though it would probably be to my detriment, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, he'll probably come and negotiate his salary. So,
I
mom,
know.
it's trash. I think I do.
Like, mom, yeah, no, this is too much.
You
But
know,
you know,
that's all like a lot of great ideas for our children, but you know, like coming bringing it back home, most of the time is not even like you can't give what you don't have, you know. And so you got to be able to like fill yourself and be able to gather that information in order to be able to say, I am paying it forward. I'm about to explain it to this child. Because most of the time, some of us don't even understand the numbers like interest, taxes. I
yeah,
mean,
we don't.
we don't get it. Some of us don't get it. So you like, what is your advice for people like me who say, well, numbers scare me, you know, like even I would just tell you my own personal thing. Even recently our job started to reevaluate our health plan, and you know, the 401k and all these different things. They got a whole new company, and we had to sit and compare stuff and choose. That was scary for me because I was like, I don't even understand this stuff. I don't understand the numbers. I'm trying to understand it. You know, there are different software that make it simple, but it was hard. What is your advice for us adults who are like still trying to figure out money
Yeah.
and
The,
numbers?
the, the thing is, like I said before, Waddie, if I can do it,
Mm,
I'll just preface it with that. If I can do it, anybody else can do it. The second thing is, you're so right. We cannot teach our children something that we barely know ourselves, that we
mm,
don't know. A lot of times, families don't, parents or caregivers don't even want to have this conversation because they don't feel like they know enough themselves, right? They
mm-hmm,
look at their bank account, they look at their credit score, and like, there's no way I can teach this kid or these kids how to manage money because I am not doing a very good job. So the first thing I would say, get that out of your mind. You know, you
mm-hmm,
made the mistake. You didn't know. You can't fault yourself for not knowing, doing
mm-hmm.
something because you didn't know. It happened. So what? So get over it.
So be gentle with yourself.
Get over that. You know, it's about these kids. It's about ensuring that they don't go down the same path that you have gone down, this financial path, right? So
Mm-hmm,
the first thing is, you know, like I said, get that out of your mind and decide today that starting today, I will start to learn about this thing. You and your children can learn together. If you have older kids, talk to them about some of the mistakes that you made and what it cost you, you know, and say, this is what I am doing to fix that situation. Okay.
mm,
So I can be a better example for you. Your kids will respect that. Right. And so, learn. There's a lot of information out there. Do your research. I became a certified personal finance coach to help people through this situation,
mm-hmm,
right? Reach out to some, if you think it's too overwhelming. First of all, if you don't want to talk to somebody because of fear of confidentiality, blah, 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 then do the research and do the work on your own. You are able to do it. If you feel that it is too overwhelming and you do not know where to start, reach out to a personal finance coach. Reach out to somebody who knows about finances and personal finance and can help guide you through the process. But don't just sit there and not do anything. It's
mm.
not going to change the situation. I can tell you that even for us who are Christians, if we pray, certain things will not change until you act.
No, of course not.
Okay. I used to pray all the time. What I'm just going to use myself as, for example, I used to pray, God, double my money, double. You know, we used to be singing. I did all of that. But you know what really turned that thing for me? I'm not praying for money no more.
Mm.
I'm not praying for what else?
An
Something else I was
increase.
praying for. Right. I said, I'm not praying for that anymore. I prayed for wisdom. Because
Mm-hmm,
the thing is, it's a mindset thing, Waddie.
mm-hmm.
You have to be wise to be able to manage money. God can come and give you $1,000,000 if your mindset is not changed.
You will
Don't
lose
think
it.
that that money will change anything about your situation. It would take a little bit of time, but you'll probably be right back to where you started. So I prayed for wisdom. And then the desire that I had to go and learn about these things just became so strong, right? And I did all kinds of research. I read all kinds of books. I talked to people, and I had people in my life that were amazing examples. I always talk about Zena and her husband. They were great examples to me. So I learned a lot from those people. Winston was a great example too. Winston came to this country. He had lived in Russia for a long time. This man ain't got no student loans. He ain't got none of these debt there. I said, hey, the boy, come and take my trouble. But Winston came and he took over our finance, so he took over things and he led things. So that gave him the opportunity to sit back and let him lead, and then let me, try to fix things on my end, right? Yeah. And so there are things that sometimes you have to step on your pride. You have to put away that shame and say, oh, you're not the only person going through it. Studies have shown that there are so many people out there that don't have any emergency funds. There's so many people out there that have $0 in their bank account, their checking accounts, no savings account. They're paying high interest rates on cars and homes because they don't have any good credit. They're suffering, because they have to pay. They can never catch up on their bills because they're so behind because of overdraft fees, right? Their wages are getting garnished because they owe IRS taxes, or they owe their student loans and they're not able to pay. Okay, so there are so many people out there like that, and you are not alone. And so what if you're alone? Sometimes we have to lose that, or wondering what people think about me. You will never get anything done trying to please everybody. So the most important person is you
Not the truth.
You lift yourself up, you out of that hole, and then you can, deal with what people. You still don't deal with that stuff. I share my story. People know where I used to be, where I have come from. I celebrate that every day. I look at myself like I'm a strong woman for doing that, right? So so I don't care if my situation different from Waddie's situation. We can't compare it, right? And so it's just like today, decide that you will lose that mindset. You will educate yourself because your kids are watching, and it is so important because their future depends on it. College will teach your children how to get a job. It will not teach them how to manage money they get from pay, how to manage 401k. For a long time, I didn't invest in the 401k at my job because I used to be like, oh, they invest into it. I don't know nothing about it. Oh, I don't know nothing about it. And so just like you, I said that would give me anxiety.
Yes.
But I lost all of that, and let me tell you something, that anxiety, Waddie, you will, once you sit down and start facing those things, then all that anxiety will go away. Say,
It kind of melts off. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just start. My biggest takeaway would be start today. Do a budget. Your budget does not have to be scary. It doesn't have to be like super long term or whatever. Start with the first 3 months. Look at where you're getting money from, your income. Look at where your money is going. When you sit down and do that assessment, you'll probably realize that there are things that don't serve you, that don't bring you any value, that don't give you any joy, that you pay money for every single month.
Yeah.
You can cut that off and then allocate the funds to go to something else that will bring you value. I'm not going to tell anybody in my coaching service that, oh, you got to cut off all your coffee and cut off all your things. People's situations different, and some people will probably have to really make some hard sacrifices to get to where they want to be. But for the most part, I'm not going to say don't do the things that you like to do. Let's start by not doing the things that you don't like, and then take the money and allocate it to something else.
That's good. When I started my most recent journey, like I told you, that was one of the things that was so hard for me. The first step they told me was to go back and look through everything that you're spending and do like a journal, write it down. Each time I had to go back and write something down, it was just hard because I'm like, do I really need to buy this thing? Let me not even buy it because I don't want to have to put it on my piece of paper. Yes. But like the process and the art of just sitting, writing it down, it kind of put things into perspective for you, Why am I spending so much money on, clothes? Why do I even need this many, pairs of shoes?
Yeah.
Do I really need another lipstick? Those kind of things. And you just start thinking to yourself, this is why I don't have money. This is where my money is going. And this is what I'm spending money on. So then you kind of start learning naturally to scale it back.
Yep.
So, I really like that, and I like your takeaway. And one of the things that I know we talked about before just this recording was having, what did you call it? Emergency fund.
Emergency fund.
And then when we talked about the amount, what did you say the amount was, or what did you say a good
A
emergency
good,
fund?
this sun in my face, hold on. So a good amount for, to have, there will be 3 to 6 months of your monthly, your monthly income.
Mm-hmm.
It may sound like a lot. Like I said,
Yeah.
not everybody at a place where they can just take one, they can afford to take one payment, just throw it in there. You have to build up to that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
Start
that
small.
point.
Don't scare yourself. Anything that's too big and too, and too like something you have to do immediately will probably not sustain you over a long period. Okay.
Yes.
It's just like dieting. When you cut off all the rice and tawagima, it's hard to stay on that diet because this is what we eat. This is what we look.
Start craving the same
You
thing.
start craving the carbs and you start craving all of these things. So you have to do it a little, a little at a time, right? So you look at your budget and trust me, anybody who sits down and really look at their budget, why they will find extra money somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They will find extra money.
I agree.
Find that extra money, you take it and you open a savings account. Automate the payments, the monthly payment or the bi-weekly payments from your checking account to that savings. Don't even say, oh, I will go in and do it manually. No, automate that process. Let the system take it out for you. It will help make it easy. It will help help you stay on track, and it will help you be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's $25. 4 months down the line, 25 times that 50 times 4, that what, $200 you would have saved in an emergency.
That you didn't have before, yes.
Right, that you didn't have before. Okay, so emergency funds so important. You have old car, work on a car, it could break down one day. Tomorrow you could wake up and get a letter from your boss saying, hey, Waddie, we scaling down, we're scaling back on business, we letting some people go. You one of those affected, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just never know. I always say that you probably just one paycheck away from the poorhouse, especially if you're not managing your money and if you have your children depending on you, right? You have those eyes watching you and depending on you to do well so that they can succeed.
And be comfortable. And be comfortable, because sometimes when we're not meeting our payments and stuff, we end up, our kids are not in comfortable places. They're not living in a comfortable home. They don't have the luxuries that they should have. So
right. And don't think that if you are stressed out about money, your children can't sense that.
Mm-hmm.
They are impacted by that as well. So today, instead of trying to show off or to be like the Joneses, start today by saying, I want the narrative to change for my family, not only for me, but for my children, for my children's children. As Christians, what does the Bible talk about when it says leaving money? Leaving something for your children if you don't do that, right? Because we like to go back to the Bible and say, oh, what the Bible says.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we want to believe it or not, and I just probably will end here, what it is, money is power.
Mm-hmm.
We don't manage money, we don't manage our power.
Yes.
We don't have the ability to give to organizations that mean a lot to us. We don't have the ability to give to the church to support the church if the members are broke and all the kind of thing. You can't sell insurance or sell or whatever people to be selling to people that don't know how to manage money and don't have extra money to give anyway.
I agree.
Now, as a result, we have to help bury people in our community, collect money to do that because people don't have life insurance. People can barely manage what they're managing to live off of that, right? So money is power, and we have to teach our children. We say we want the Black community to be strengthened, the African community to be strengthened, but yet we take our power, our money, and we give it away. Mm-hmm. Money empowers.
Wow.
It does. It does. So we have to really think about it from that standpoint. Okay, what kind of legacy do I want to leave for my kids? A legacy could be changing the story for your children. Mm-hmm. Setting them up, giving up a good place to start.
Do so. Yeah. Money is power, and so it's good. It's good to kind of grab hold and take control of your power.
Yes.
So This is the ending thing for everybody. Where can someone communicate with you if they need to be able to, set up a session with you? Do you have to meet in person in the wake of all of this COVID-19 stuff? What do you need to tell people in order to get a hold of you?
So, all of the information, if you want to buy the book, if you want information about the books and what's coming out, if you want to schedule some time to talk with me as a finance coach, all the information you can find on my website is www.sammiefredericks.com, and it's SAMMIEFREDERICKS.com, SammieFredericks.com. You can email me at info@SammieFredericks.com. On Facebook is Sammie Fredericks. On Instagram is call me teacher mom. Right now I'm only doing the virtual sessions.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. That concludes our episode 7. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
See ya.